saw Titanic pop up on the TV, and that's what I picture love being.
His favorite restaurant, I think, is Chipotle. I'm like, stop.
Caked up face, fake eyelashes.
Our relationship has nothing to do with you. Thank God.
He's not the one for you.
I want the angst of like, you're afraid to lose me all the time.
Okay.
He's like also like he works out a lot, and I feel like guys like Chipotle because it's like the rice, the protein.
I know.
Either she found out I was going to be there, or she has supernatural powers.
Is your face okay?
I love you, baby. I love you more.
Well, you probably know by now that I'm personally a sucker for reality television, and I like to talk about it over here on this channel. So if this is the first video that you've ever clicked on of me, hello. I like to watch reality TV and comment on it. Definitely follow if you're interested in that type of content. And today is no exception. We're going to be talking about the new season of Love is Blind, which is season 5. If you don't know what Love is Blind is, I'm going to tell you about it and a little bit of backstory into season 5 if you have not been watching, because I do believe there are some things that you need to know in order to understand this video, and if you don't watch it, you'll be confused. Love is Blind is a very unique and exciting reality television show that airs on Netflix. The show centers around singles who want to be loved for who they are, as Netflix says. So these contestants signed up for a less conventional approach to modern dating, as they choose someone to marry without ever meeting them. So they take 15 men and they have them live together, and 15 women who are living together. Each individual person will go into a small room that is called a pod, and on the other side of the wall will be another small room that's also known as a pod, which will have a member of the opposite sex. They cannot see each other, and the only way that they can get to know each other is by communicating blindly. Singles try to find a match and fall in love without ever seeing each other face to face, as emotional connection attempts to conquer physical attraction. So there's different themes and conversations that they have within the pods. One of the days in the pods might be focused around the topic of sex and physical intimacy, while another one might be focused around finances or family. And then they have these little notepads where they jot down their thoughts and opinions about the person that they're talking to. At any point in the pods, they can get down on one knee and ask the other person to marry them. They can also have multiple connections in the pods at once. And every time they leave a pod, they go back to the place where they're staying with all the other men or all the other women. So they can either make friends or enemies while they wait to go and speak to their person of interest in the pods. The couples of season 5 is Stacy and Izzy, but before Stacy and Izzy became a couple, Izzy was talking to 2 other women. One of them was Lydia, who later gets in a couple with Milton. So then you have Lydia and Milton. Another girl that Izzy was talking to before he picked Stacy was a girl by the name of Johnny. Johnny was talking to Izzy and another guy by the name of Chris. We'll talk about that later. Then you have Taylor and JP. Now, they did not make it far. The reason why they didn't make it far through the season was because after they decided to become engaged in the pods, they meet each other, and JP is just overtaken with the fact that when he sees Taylor, who is gorgeous, by the way, with all of this makeup on, he just cannot even speak. Cat got his tongue, words out the window. He was so upset by the fact that she had makeup on that he now believed her to be fake.
Because you didn't get over the awkward part.
Because it's still awkward.
You don't change. You don't change. But I feel like if you would have presented yourself like this, without any makeup, it would have been better.
So the way I look made you communicate differently?
It felt like you were fake. That's what
Because
started
I
it all.
felt fake.
Caked up face, fake eyelashes. I'm being honest. You presented fake stuff. I had makeup all over my jacket.
So for the next few days, he literally does not communicate with her at all. Watching them try to talk was like nails on a chalkboard. Not to mention these scenes where she's trying to kiss him, looking absolutely stunning, by the way, and he's pulling his head back like a chicken. And he's pulling himself back from her like he has the ick from her, when this whole time I'm thinking, shouldn't she have the ick from him? So after days of literally not being able to communicate with her at all because he was just so disturbed by a woman having makeup on her face, he decides to tell her that that's the reason why he wasn't speaking, was because he thought she was fake because her face was caked with makeup and he preferred her to be natural. She obviously ends up dumping him the next day and leaving the show. Another couple that was to be but never came to be was Uche and Aaliyah. Now, Uche and Aaliyah we will also be talking about later, but they had a really good connection until Uche decided to completely ruin it. And Lydia is also involved in this situation, and do not worry, we will definitely be talking about her as well. Basically, all you need to know to understand this show is that it's a shit show. Now, at the time that I'm currently filming this video right here, Decision Day has not been aired, and I have not seen the reunion. I have now since seen the last episode and the reunion, so stay tuned towards the end of this video because Mama has some things to say. But the last episode that I watched absolutely infuriated me. I think there was so much toxicity in this situation, and if this couple stays together, it's not gonna be good because they are a disaster in the making. They're that type of couple when you look at, you're like, you're gonna have some really bad fights.
I even told you, it was like the thought, it's the effort that counted.
And I get what you're saying, and I'm
Can
hearing
you please stop cutting me off?
I don't think either one of them in this couple is innocent in the sense of saying that there's one that's worse than the other. I think Stacy's behind Izzy pulling the strings.
Pretty much the things that you were telling me, I wasn't the only guy you were telling. Not because of our connection, it's everything that I heard.
You don't know my story, and y'all are the sketchiest fuck ones.
And he's just letting her because he comes off like he's deeply insecure.
Okay.
And I also feel like Izzy's one of those guys that will be like, I'm such a nice guy. I'm the nicest guy that you'll ever be with. I'm the nicest guy that you'll ever meet. But really, he's probably gonna ruin your life. You know what I mean? Now, we gotta talk about Johnny. Johnny was the one that Izzy had a bigger emotional connection with in the pods. And Johnny had a connection between two people, and it was Izzy and Chris. She decided to let Chris go and let Izzy know that she was choosing him. Now, at this time, Izzy was in between Stacy and Johnny. When Johnny picked him, he then lets Johnny go, and then Johnny goes back to Chris. This is something that happens in Love is Blind because none of these people have met yet, and all they're doing is talking and communicating. So in my personal opinion, if one of them chooses somebody and then it doesn't work out, of course they're gonna go with their second option because it's not that they didn't like them, it's just that they thought they had a better connection with somebody else. So of course they're gonna be like, didn't work out with the other person, do you still wanna give it a shot and see if we have a chance? I feel like it should be all mutually agreed upon in these pods that everybody is there for the same reason. Everybody is there to get to know somebody that they've never seen before, that they're just communicating with in this very unique situation. Considering it's such a quick process where they don't really know each other that long, I don't think it should be as frowned upon if they get confused or if they're kind of back and forth between two people. And to be honest with you, I don't see a difference in Izzy being interested in three people and choosing to let them go, and Johnny doing the exact same thing. The only difference is that the person that Izzy chose also chose him back. But I don't think for a second that he wouldn't have been second guessing. Maybe he should have chose Johnny if Stacy didn't choose him. You're all grown adults. You're all here for the same reason. Let's grow up a little bit and stop acting like we're supposed to commit to one person after, what is it, like a couple weeks in the pods, if that. Maybe some people would disagree with me, but I personally do not see an issue with that because they don't really know each other. They've never even seen each other, and yes, like all they can do is talk in the pods, and I'm sure you get close to people really quickly in there, but I could see how you could get really close to more than one person because of the amount of time that you're spending in each pod with each individual. I don't know, I just didn't think it was that snaky or weird that Johnny went back to Chris and they end up, you know, leaving the cameras, and when they weren't filming, they decide that they actually want to be a couple. So off camera, they decide to be a couple with each other, which I think is actually pretty genuine because it's not for the cameras at all. They're not even being filmed. That to me comes off like they really like each other and like it's a real thing. Does that mean it will last? I have no idea. Spoiler alert, it doesn't last. Chris was cheating on Johnny the whole time. Now the reason why I'm saying this is because this came back up in one of the episodes where Izzy and Stacy and all of the other people who were in the pod were at this little bonfire situation, and Stacy decides to get a stick up her booty cheeks about Johnny for some reason. So Uche is talking about Lydia. Now they have this whole other situation where Lydia and Uche were dating off camera. It's this whole thing. Uche was speaking to Aaliyah in the pods. Now earlier on during Uche and Aaliyah's connection, he gets on her case about her having cheated on a previous boyfriend a couple years ago.
How much longer were you with him after you cheated on him?
3 months.
3 months.
He's extremely judgmental about this and very upset about it, which is really funny because later on he decides, hey, now I'm going to be honest with her about the fact that the girl that she's the closest with in the pods, Lydia, is somebody that I actually dated off camera.
I haven't been completely honest with you. It's Lydia. We dated for a few months.
So Aaliyah gets really upset about this because Lydia was being extremely weird in the pods. She kept saying that Aaliyah reminded her so much of herself and wasn't being transparent with Aaliyah about the fact that the guy that she's talking to in the pods is her ex-boyfriend.
I love you, baby. I love you more. He's not the one for you. And I don't want to say this. You're so like me that I could see this happening.
I tell you, if this was me in this situation, this would have made me so uncomfortable that I've been venting to this woman that was an ex-girlfriend of the guy that I'm dating, but she didn't tell me about it. I mean, they're cuddling up, they're holding hands. Lydia's acting like her best friend, but leaving out this very big detail that she actually had a thing with Uche. So when Uche tells Aaliyah that he actually was seeing Lydia prior to him going in there, Aaliyah goes back into where they're staying to talk to Lydia about how Uche told her, you're his ex-girlfriend. What the hell? So then Lydia just comes off like she's so excited to talk to Aaliyah about Uche, and it's so bizarre. She's going on about how he has a nice car and going on about his dog.
I'm only gonna see Uche now as Aaliyah's husband. You're amazing. And he sees that. And he did good. You're gonna love Kobe.
I know. I had a dog named Kobe.
Kobe's amazing. Kobe's fun, playful. He pisses himself every time he sees me. I even bought him a toy, which was like, I don't know where you bought that, but that was like a good one.
Yeah.
And she just seems like she has a lot of emotional attachment still to him, in my personal opinion.
I know everything about him because I know him, you know?
I know.
So anything that you want to know?
No, I don't want to know anything. I don't want to know anything. I want to still be surprised.
At first, they're talking really good about each other, like Uche's saying she's a good woman and Lydia's saying he's a good man. And then before you know it, it flips around, okay? And then they stop saying that. And then they start saying that they're both terrible people. Lydia's saying everybody needs to beware of Uche. And Uche's saying Lydia's crazy. Uche starts throwing out this allegation that Lydia was stalking him, would show up at his house and send pictures of herself outside of his home. And also that he alleged she found out that he was going to be on Love is Blind and decided to get on it to get with him. So he's sitting down with everybody at this bonfire trying to warn them about Lydia. And strangely enough, later on in the show, the only two couples that are standing at the altar on decision day is Izzy and Stacy and Milton and Lydia. So the show just kind of like brushes over the fact that there's this really weird history between Uche and Lydia and that she may have came there for nefarious reasons. The whole thing's weird. That's all I'm trying to say. So after everybody's made their decision and they're no longer in the pods, they have this bonfire where everybody that was on Love is Blind gets together to, I don't know, chat about the drama. And so Uche's sitting down with everybody trying to talk about Lydia.
She wanted us to be on this experiment together. Either she found out I was going to be there, or she has supernatural powers.
And while he's talking about it, Stacy's just eyeballing Johnny, right? And so she's just looking over at her and she decides to be like, what's wrong with your face? And start something for literally no reason.
Is your face okay?
Great.
Is your face okay?
Stacy, keep it cool.
At what?
And you can tell that she has it out for her really bad. And I think it's because Stacy is actually extremely insecure. Way back when they were in the pods, while Izzy was still talking to Stacy and Johnny, he told Stacy that he had a better emotional connection with Johnny.
With the other girls, it's like I go like a lot more deeper. And with you, it's just like, I'm just like kind of just enjoying the ride.
And I think from that moment on, Stacy had it out for Johnny because she did not like that he had more of an emotional connection with Johnny. I think that really bothered her, and I think she immediately felt jealousy. She would be able to better emotionally connect with Izzy.
I think that you're not really acknowledging the sensitive point to me that it's Johnny and that it's your person. It bothers me.
This scene was so frustrating to watch because Izzy just starts going at Johnny for no reason. I do not understand why he was so mad. It didn't make any sense to me. Stacy and Izzy are going on about how Johnny is a snake and she's sketchy, but they can't really say why. It makes absolutely no sense why they don't like her. They're saying that everybody else in the pods doesn't like her. And it's just really weird to me because I'm like, you guys chose each other and you're happy with each other, so why do you keep talking about her? Why do you keep trying to start something with her? Why are you so mad? And all I can think of is that Stacy's behind the scenes in Izzy's ear because Johnny makes her uncomfortable. And so when Izzy and Chris were sitting there having this conversation, Izzy's trying to get in Chris's ear to get him to have an opinion about John. But I'm like, she didn't do anything wrong. Like, they're trying to say that she said one thing to one of them and then contradicted it with what she said to the other guy. And to me, I'm like, I didn't hear that. I didn't hear what they were trying to portray that she said.
I just didn't think it was cool to like do that to us. And I'm not trying to persuade you on it. That's not my intent here.
So while Chris and Izzy are having this conversation about Johnny, here comes Stacy walking over and sits down and tries to act like she didn't know what they were talking about when she could literally hear what they're talking about as she's approaching.
So that's why I called her out on her shit, because it's just like, you were a good friend to me. She's telling us all the same shit.
I'm sorry, I didn't know I was walking into this.
And then Johnny's just like, I am not having this. What is going on here?
Stacy can give you the girl's perspective.
But is this good? Because I just see like hands waving. No, they're trying to convince you of a story that probably didn't happen.
And they start fighting, okay?
You were there in the pods to know that you're full of surprising to get a hold of your real personality. I hope you guys are very happy together, I really do. Because you're a person, and I'm very confident in my opinion, which is why I don't look at you. The proof's in the pudding. No one has ill intention. I'm a straight shooter, honey.
Now, when Izzy and Stacy get back to their apartment, this is where it gets gross. So Izzy starts talking about how it turned him on to see Stacy bully Johnny.
I don't care about Johnny. I saw you railing into her ass and I got so turned on.
There would be no way on this earth I would ever stay with a man that told me that it was sexually attractive to him and turned him on that I was being an asshole to somebody else. That is gross. Maybe he was just trying to get brownie points with Stacy and thought that she would like to hear that. I don't know. But what a gross thing to say. I mean, Stacy starts making these comments about how, of course you're glad you chose me between that. I don't want to be compared to that.
I'm sure you are. Looking at that and then looking at me, I'm sure you're glad.
And starts insulting Johnny's appearance and who she is as a person. Stacy comes off like a spoiled brat.
He has a lot of things that he hasn't done that maybe I have. His favorite restaurant I think is Chipotle. I'm like, ugh.
I know that she comes from a wealthy family, and Izzy comes off like he's a bit insecure. And I think that if they choose to get married, that it is going to be an absolute disaster. Stacy said in that conversation that she wanted Izzy to have the angst that he's going to lose her all the time.
I want the angst of like, you're afraid to lose me all the time.
That is toxic. You want a relationship where the person that is in it is afraid they're gonna lose you constantly. That is the most unrealistic thing I've ever heard of. And like, why would you want somebody that you're supposed to love to be uncomfortable in their own skin around you, afraid that you're gonna leave them constantly? Like, I'm sorry. She thinks she's the shit and she opens her mouth and she ain't it. I intentionally rhymed there. That was so dumb. She wants him to feel insecure because it makes her feel better about herself, and that is gross.
I want the angst of like, you're afraid to lose me all the time.
Okay.
I'm really curious to see how the rest of this season goes, but I had to talk about this couple and give my 2 cents on them because they aggravate the hell out of me, and I'm also very curious to hear what you guys have to say.
On the second to last episode, they had the weddings, and I was surprised that Milton actually did choose to marry Lydia, and in the reunion that happened to be a year after the weddings, they were still together. He said that he wanted to marry Stacy, but she didn't want to marry him, and she had reservations because he neglected to tell her until the end of the process that he had a bad credit score, which I definitely feel like if you're about to get married, that is extremely shady. She said she wanted to stay with him but wasn't ready to get married, but big surprise, they don't stay together. What I found interesting was that when Izzy was interviewed after the fact, that he went on an angry rant about Stacy's past relationships and how he's basically better than all the rich 40-plus-year-olds that she usually dates.
It makes me wonder, why are you 33 and single and not married? I'm 29 years old and I can give you everything that I'm rich, 45-year-old man that you always go for and can't give you.
And it reminded me of those types of people that act like they're all there for you and all about you until you piss them off, and then they throw you under the bus and try to humiliate or belittle you because you don't want them anymore. To be honest, I usually love reunions on reality TV shows because usually they're full of tea and drama, but Love is Blind is probably the worst reunion I've ever seen in my entire life. They film a year after the show is filmed, so everyone has completely moved on and none of the drama is fresh, and it feels extremely anticlimactic. The only people that are still together from the show are Milton and Lydia, and speaking of Lydia, I feel like the show just let it go so easily with what she did to Aaliyah. The fact that Aaliyah repeatedly told her that she didn't want to know anything about Uche, but she kept telling her anyway and excitedly acting like she had just been waiting to jump to the chance to tell her all this stuff. And Aaliyah said that Lydia made a comment about how she knew she was going to run into somebody from her past that she knew. I truly believe that Lydia had ulterior motives in the beginning. I think now she's happy with Milton, but I don't think that she was being honest about how she ended up on the show and her motives for being there. I also think that they were way too nice to JP for how he treated Taylor. The comments that he made about her were so rude, and they just kind of let it go and even asked him questions like, did you even find her attractive? And it's like, let's just further attempt to make Taylor feel like crap. Like, why aren't we asking him other questions like, why do you think you have the right to speak to women about what she does or doesn't do with her makeup? Or why did you get on Love is Blind if the second you saw a woman you didn't particularly find attractive, you were going to be rude to her regardless of how well you got to know her in there? She just suddenly became nothing to you because you thought she was fake. We're just going to let that slide. I feel like Taylor and Aaliyah were robbed on this season, and I feel like the both of them are way too nice and should have ripped into everybody at the reunion, but then again, it's been a year since they filmed it, so they probably honestly don't care anymore at all. I feel like Love is Blind should film the reunion sooner after filming the actual show so that what happened on the show is more fresh, because my god, the reunion is the most boring reunion on television to date. Everybody moved on and nobody had anything juicy or interesting to say about anything that went on the show. And that's my 2 cents, mic drop.
Every time I watch these types of shows, I'm like, I gotta know what my subscribers think about this. I gotta know what my subscribers think about this because I know whatever they gotta say about it is gonna be good and I wanna hear it. I am all ears. So let me know what your guys' thoughts are in the comments down below about Love is Blind Season 5, and give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and would like to see more like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will be seeing you soon for another video.